Hi, good evening. It's Sunday night. I don't even know what time it is. Maybe 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock at night. And boy, I'm not having an anxiety attack exactly, but maybe I'm having an existential crisis. uh, I don't know what to do. I'm in a flux. And I guess it's fitting that I've got a world map behind me. That's not intentional. I just happened to sit down in this chair. But I am seriously asking myself, contemplating the idea of, drum roll, not returning to Brazil. Yep, not returning to Brazil and staying right here in San Francisco and living in this apartment. This garden apartment that I used to live in for many years, in the neighborhood that I used to live in for many, many years. And why am I thinking this now? Well, I think that this idea that I am expressing now here verbally has been very, very, very slowly coming to the surface in the last weeks. As you may remember, I came back to San Francisco early April. And it is now June 1st, Sunday, June 1st. So I've been here almost 2 months, much longer than I had originally planned. I had planned to be here 6 weeks, but as I have talked about before, I lost my passport. Ay, 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 ay. And, I know there's a temptation to play armchair psychiatrist and maybe say, well, maybe that was subconscious on my part, but I really, really, really don't think it was. I just genuinely lost it. I had no deep-seated subconscious desire to sabotage my return to Brazil. I had planned and am planning, and it's about to materialize, my move back to the big city of Salvador, which is where I want to be in Brazil. I had no reason to sabotage my return by accidentally losing my passport. I don't know how that happened. It's always going to be a huge mystery to me how that passport disappeared from my kitchen table, and a checkbook, which leaves this little tiny voice in my head wondering if someone came in here. I'm thinking a former tenant who still had the key to the front gate. Highly unlikely, but who knows? Anyway, it doesn't matter. But I mean, this idea of not returning has been percolating under the surface, but it's broken through the surface now. And today, or this weekend, I'm finally articulating it. I've emailed a couple of close friends, floating the idea. Most importantly, my dear friend who owns this house, this 3-unit Victorian here in San Francisco. opening up the idea of that possibility, my reasons, and what are my reasons? Well, I think it has a lot to do with the fact that I am 70 years old. Yep, 70. You know, Brazil is fabulous when you're 20, 30, 40, 50, even 60. But I'm 70. And I have health problems. Very manageable, but serious health problems. You know, I had a stroke 6 years ago. I've got atrial fibrillation. I take 6 medications a day, and I have diabetes, which was diagnosed a year ago. So I take 6 medications a day, 5 medications a day, and then a 6th one I take once a week, an injection, Ozempic for diabetes. This apartment that I'm staying in, that I used to live in, you know, I'm a 10-block walk, easy walk, to San Francisco General Hospital, where I get my health care, excellent health care, world-class health care, excellent doctors and facilities. You know, I always used to dismiss, poo-poo the idea, almost, you know, make fun of people who limited themselves because of health issues. I felt like they were being, I don't know, self-indulgent, fraidy cats, whatever. But at 70, I realize, you know, sometimes health is an issue. Sometimes health and healthcare are factors in one's decision about where to live and how to live. That's one reason. You know, here in California, I've lived in California since 1975. No, since 1970. I moved here when I was 15 years old to the state. California has been my home base, I should say, because I've lived abroad a lot too, but I've always kept a home base here in California until 3 years ago. There are a lot of benefits to being a resident of California. Here, I'm eligible because I'm a low-income senior. My sole source of income is Social Security. I'm eligible for Medi-Medi. That's a combination of Medicare and Medi-Cal. And here, I've actually got the application on my table here. With Medi-Medi, I could be getting all of my medications, including that outrageously priced Ozempic, which runs for about $1,000 a month, and another medication, what is it called? Xarelto, for the heart, that costs something absurd like over $500 a month. I could be getting those for almost free, for like $3 copay on Medi-Medi. Now, an advantage of Brazil is I do get those medications low cost. They're not free. They're not equivalent to $3. I think I pay about $300 a month for all of my meds, but it's significantly cheaper than it is in the United States. But I could be getting all of that for free. And here in California, and I'm even low income enough where I think I could get food stamps. Yep. How the mighty have fallen financially. But that's the reality. And, you know, California is a very blue state, fights tooth and nail against the Trump regime. And I appreciate it and I like that. And I feel comfortable living in a place, in a state like California because of that. The state coincides with my values. I love San Francisco. I've talked about that already. I have access to things here in San Francisco that I don't have in Brazil. I'm a big compulsive reader. I have unlimited access to books here. Life is good here. It's chilly. I complained about that. San Francisco's chilly. It's not what people think who don't know California. You know, San Francisco is in Northern California. And it's famous for being overcast and foggy. You know, you go 20 miles east and it'll be 90 degrees in the Central Valley. But here in San Francisco, it'll be 55 degrees in the middle of summer. But I like the cold. You can always put a sweater on. So these are the thoughts that are going through my head on this late Sunday night. Of course, all of this would be contingent on if my friend who owns this building would allow me to live in this apartment again. I'm not able to pay by any means the going market rent for this unit. I simply am not. I could pay him, I can afford $500 a month. I mean, in San Francisco, you can't rent a cardboard box to the sidewalk for $500 a month. But, you know, I've lived here for free in the past, so $500 must be something. You know, he travels a lot, spends a lot of the time outside the country. He owns property in Mexico, so, you know, I can take care of watch the place while he's gone. I'm gonna, you know, mention that. Anyway, it would be very contingent on him saying yes or no. That if he said no, it wouldn't happen. But I just wanted to share what's going on in my anxious brain. You know, who knows? I may wake up tomorrow feeling bright-eyed, bushy-tailed and think, oh God, live again in the United States, in San Francisco, crazy. No way. And of course, there's a third. There's three options: move back to Salvador, Brazil, stay and live here in San Francisco, or number three is the most off the wall idea is to move to a completely different country. You know, Cambodia I've mentioned, top of my list, where it's very inexpensive. It would be a new adventure, a new language to learn. Am I unstable? Am I crazy? Maybe I am. But anyway, I just wanted to share this craziness with you, my unsettled mind. As I said, I'm not having an anxiety attack. I feel calm, but this idea has been bubbling to the surface now for a while, ever since, you know, I got back here, and then the trauma of losing my passport and then getting stuck here and, you know, and having to not being able to board my plane back to Brazil because I didn't have a passport. And now every single day I'm twiddling my thumbs and making a daily pilgrimage to upstairs where the mail is delivered to see if the passport has arrived, and every day, it's not here yet. And I was looking at the calendar. It's only been 3 weeks. It's not realistic for it to be here yet. But that doesn't stop me from looking every day. Anyway, any change would be contingent on my friend, and he's in Japan right now. Should be back in a few days. I told you he travels extensively, so we'll see. I will keep you updated. Who knows? I might regret making this episode, but here I am. Thanks for joining me. Thanks for listening. I'll see y'all soon. Beijos, besos. Ciao, ciao.